Welcome back to the NotebookLM Master Course. In the previous chapter, we learned how to analyze and organize our sources. Today, we're going to take the next step. We're going to transform those sources into useful learning and research materials. Imagine you have a 100-page research report. You don't always want to read the entire document every time you need to revise. You may want a study guide, or flashcards, or a quiz, or a concise briefing. The important skill is knowing which format matches your goal. If you're learning, you might need a study guide. If you're revising, flashcards may be better. If you're testing yourself, a quiz is more useful. And if you're preparing a presentation, a briefing document may be the better choice. So don't begin by asking, what can NotebookLM generate? Begin with a better question. What am I trying to accomplish? Let's start with one of the most useful outputs for students, a study guide. I'll use the sources already inside this notebook. I'll ask NotebookLM, create a study guide covering the major concepts in these sources. Notice that I'm not asking for a generic summary. I'm asking for something designed specifically for studying. NotebookLM can organize the material around the major concepts. This gives us a structure that we can use for revision. But we can make our instruction better. I'll ask it to include definitions, key arguments, important examples, and evidence. This produces a more useful learning resource. Now the study guide has 4 useful layers. First, what does the concept mean? Second, what are the major arguments? Third, what examples help us understand it? And fourth, what evidence supports those ideas? If you're preparing for an examination, you can make the task even more specific. Ask NotebookLM to identify the concepts most likely to require your attention. This helps you prioritize your study time. But remember, NotebookLM's prioritization is a suggestion, not a guarantee of what your professor will put on the exam. Now pause the lesson and create your own study guide. Start with the basic instruction. Create a study guide from my selected sources. Then improve it by asking for definitions, arguments, examples, and supporting evidence. Finally, compare the study guide with your original sources. Don't assume every generated summary captures every important detail. Now let's turn our sources into questions. Frequently asked questions are especially useful when you're trying to understand what you should actually know about a topic. I'll ask NotebookLM to generate 15 important questions and answers based on my selected sources. The questions give us another way to explore the material. Instead of reading information passively, we can turn it into a question and answer format. Now let's make the exercise more useful. I'll ask NotebookLM to make the questions progressively more difficult. Now the questions can move from basic recall to understanding, application, and analysis. We can also ask which questions require us to use evidence from the sources. Now, let's turn our sources into flashcards. I'll ask NotebookLM to create 20 flashcards from the selected sources. Each card can present a question on one side and the answer on the other. We can specify the level as well. Make these flashcards suitable for university-level revision. Instead of memorizing only what a concept means, we can connect the definition to an example and an application. Here's an advanced technique. Create difficult flashcards that test differences between similar concepts. Now create 20 flashcards from your own sources. Ask for university-level questions rather than extremely simple definitions. Try to include 3 types: definition, example, and application. Now we're going to turn our source material into a quiz. I'll ask, create a 15-question quiz based only on my sources. We can also specify the question types. For genuine self-testing, tell NotebookLM not to reveal the answers immediately. After completing the quiz, check your answers against the source material. Don't stop at knowing that an answer is wrong. Explain why my incorrect answers were wrong. That turns a mistake into a learning opportunity. Some subjects depend heavily on chronology. I'll ask NotebookLM to create a chronological timeline of the major events in my sources. The events are now arranged chronologically. We can make the timeline more useful by asking for 3 things for every event: the date, what happened, and why it matters. Now the timeline isn't simply a list of dates. Now, let's move beyond studying. I'll ask NotebookLM to create a concise research brief based on my selected sources. A useful research brief can contain the research question, major findings, supporting evidence, and implications. Let's make it more rigorous. Separate facts from interpretations and identify disagreements between sources. Now we have a much more useful briefing structure. For every major finding, ask for the most important supporting evidence. This helps the reader see not only what the conclusion is, but why the conclusion deserves attention. Now we're going to combine everything from this chapter into one practical project. Use one source collection from your notebook. First, create a study guide containing the major concepts, definitions, arguments, and evidence. Second, create 15 important questions and answers. Third, create 20 flashcards designed for active recall. Fourth, create a 15-question quiz and attempt it without looking at the answers. Finally, create a concise research brief
containing the major findings and supporting evidence.
Look at what we've done. But there's one rule I want you to remember. Don't generate for the sake of generating. Always start with your learning or research goal, and then choose the format that helps you achieve that goal. If you need an overview, use a study guide. If you need to remember information, use flashcards. If you need to test yourself, use a quiz. And if you need to communicate your findings, build a research brief. Today, we learned how to transform sources into structured study guides. We learned how to turn information into questions and flashcards for active learning. We learned how to create quizzes and use our mistakes to identify areas that need more attention. We learned how to organize chronological information into meaningful timelines. And we learned how to turn multiple sources into a concise research brief. The real power of NotebookLM isn't simply generating text. It is helping you choose the right structure for the work you are trying to do. In the next chapter, we're going deeper. Follow the wider view for the next update.